Good evening, my friends. My name is Joseph. Thank you for gathering with me tonight as we pull up a chair and look into a mystery that has captured my heart, and I believe yours as well. It's a story that begins in a quiet place, but one that has echoed loudly across the world. It asks us difficult questions about hope, about truth, and about the shadows that can linger in broad daylight. Our story takes us to a small community in Nova Scotia, Canada. A place of dense woods and winding trails, where neighbors know each other and life moves with the rhythm of the seasons. In a little house on a road called Gurlock, a mother reported her 2 children missing. It was just past 10 in the morning on May the 2nd. Their names are Lily and Jack Sullivan. Lily was 6 years old. Her brother Jack was 4, about to turn 5. They had simply vanished. The response was immediate and powerful. Police cars sped down the country roads. Search and rescue teams in bright vests assembled. Helicopters thrummed overhead, their blades beating against the sky. Volunteers arrived with determined faces, ready to comb through the underbrush. The news spread fast, from a local tragedy to a national story. Everyone asked the same urgent question: where could 2 little children have gone? In those first few days, the focus was entirely on the land around their home. The theory was straightforward and heartbreaking. The children had wandered off. They might be lost, scared, but surely they would be found. Searchers found a blanket. They identified small boot prints. The search centered on these clues, a radius of frantic hope spreading out from the Sullivan family's doorstep. The eyes of a nation were glued to this spot, waiting for the happy ending, for 2 children to be carried out of the woods safe and sound. But that moment never came. As the days turned into weeks, something began to change. The intense energy of the first search started to fade. The television news crews packed up their satellite trucks and moved on to other stories. The official updates from the police became less frequent and said less. The phrase, "The investigation is ongoing," became a familiar, frustrating refrain. To the outside world, the case of Lily and Jack was going quiet. It was slipping from the front pages and into the cold case files. Yet, in another world, a digital world, the case was anything but cold. It was burning. In online forums, on social media platforms, and in live-stream discussions, a community of people refused to look away. They were mothers and fathers, retired detectives, teachers, and ordinary people from all over the globe. They became digital detectives, piecing together every scrap of available information. They studied maps. They analyzed timelines from news reports. They watched every interview frame by frame. And as they looked closer, their collective attention began to shift. It slowly turned away from the dark, unknowable forest and towards the last people to see Lily and Jack, their family. This shift did not happen out of cruelty. It happened because of a pattern, a feeling that the story did not quite add up. In the awful clarity of hindsight, people began to re-examine everything. They looked back at the parents' pleas for help. In times of unimaginable grief, we expect to see raw emotion. We expect to see a spirit shattered by loss. But some observers noted a different tone. The mother, Malaya, and her partner appeared on camera. They asked for the safe return of their children. Their words were right, but some felt their delivery was strangely calm. Their eyes were dry. Their voices were steady. To many, this composure felt unsettling. Of course, grief is a private country. Everyone walks through it differently. Some people shut down. Some go quiet. Do not judge a grieving parent. Many people argued passionately online. You cannot know their pain. This became one side of a great divide. But others could not shake their doubt. Where are the tears? They asked. Where is the desperation? This doubt grew when people started noticing small changes in the story. The time the children were last seen seemed to shift slightly between different tellings. Details about their habits, or the layout of the home, did not always match. Were these just the innocent mistakes of people in shock? Or were they signs of a story that was not entirely solid? The police were quiet about the family. They did not praise them. They did not condemn them. They simply said nothing. This official silence was like fuel on the fire of speculation. Into this tense space stepped a group of volunteers called, "Please bring me home." They dedicated themselves to physically searching the area long after the official efforts had scaled down. They operated on the firm belief that Lily and Jack had wandered away and were lost. Their spokesperson, a knowledgeable man named Damien, became a familiar voice. He explained the science of searching. He talked about the challenges of the terrain. He was a voice of reason, arguing for the simple, tragic accident theory. But to some, his very certainty was suspicious. Why was this volunteer group the most vocal defender of the parents' story? Why did their energy seem so focused on proving the children were simply lost, rather than exploring other, darker possibilities? The mystery took its next major turn because of a map. Someone online, using skill and dedication, pulled together all the public information about the search. They took screenshots from police press conferences showing search zones. They overlaid these with detailed topographic maps and satellite images. What they revealed was shocking. The official search had been intense, but it was also tight. It formed a thick cluster of activity right around the Sullivan home and the spot where the blanket and boot prints were found. But the satellite map told another story. Radiating out from that cluster were dozens of old trails, logging roads, and hidden paths. These pathways stretched for miles into deep, unbroken wilderness. They were like secret veins running away from the heart of the search. The most watched analysis came from a woman who walked through this map on a video. Her cursor traced a faint, green line on the screen. "Look here," she said, her voice hushed. "This trail is right here. It is less than a kilometer from where they found the blanket. It connects to a whole network of old roads and hidden places. Public records suggest this area was only scanned from the perimeter. It was never thoroughly walked by search teams." The implication was staggering. If the children had walked down this path, they could have easily missed all the searchers. They could have traveled much, much farther than anyone ever looked. The question now was devastating. Was the official search a failure of strategy? Or was its limited scope a clue in itself? Did the authorities search only where they were told to search, based on a story that was not true? The online world split wide open. Some were furious at the police. "They didn't even look here. They gave up." Others saw a darker pattern. "They didn't look there because they were led to believe the children never went that way. Someone pointed them in the wrong direction." Calls for a new, massive search of all these trails exploded online. But the official response was the same. They had covered the logical areas. They had followed the evidence. What evidence? The blanket? The boot prints? The entire idea of an accident now rested on these few, silent objects. A terrible new thought entered the minds of many. What if these were not clues left by lost children, but pieces placed carefully on a stage? The mystery deepened further during a long, late-night interview with Damien from the volunteer group. The conversation turned to search dogs. Damien explained how dogs work, and he was honest about their limits. The wind can carry a scent away. A dog can have an off day. A handler can make a mistake. Then, almost casually, he mentioned that his group had brought in special dogs twice. Cadaver dogs. Dogs trained to find the scent of human remains. He said they had done this quietly, without telling the media, to avoid causing a distraction. The digital community froze, then erupted. Cadaver dogs. The words are heavy and final. Why would a group searching for living children bring in dogs that search for the dead? Was this just a responsible, if grim, precaution? Or did it mean the volunteers, with their inside knowledge, believed they were not looking for living children anymore? Even more chilling were the rumors that started to fly. Unconfirmed whispers said that in the very beginning, someone had asked for bloodhounds, the best tracking dogs in the world for following a living scent, but that those dogs were never used. Why not? If the goal was to find lost children, why not use every tool? Why use dogs for death and not dogs for life? The questions were now piling up, one on top of the other, until the weight of them was hard to bear. Was the real investigation, from day one, based on a secret belief the public was not told? Why were volunteers quietly walking the woods with dogs that sniff for death, while the family publicly begged for life. What was said in those first private hours between the family and the police that set this whole journey on its current path? During that same interview, Damien said something else that sent a shock through everyone listening. He talked about the debate over whether ordinary people should help search. He was against it, worried they might disturb evidence. But then he revealed his own method. "When my small team goes out," he said, "I wear a body camera. I record everything from the moment I leave my house until I get back. In this case, there are some strange things going on. If we find something, it's better to have it all on video, in case it ends up in court." The chat feed beside the video exploded with messages. "Court? He's already thinking about a trial? What strange things? What does he know? He's protecting himself. Or he's gathering evidence against someone." This was no longer just a search. It was a legal preemption. Damien was not just filming the woods. He was filming to create a record that could be used in a future courtroom. The statement acknowledged a hidden war. It meant that in the minds of those closest to the search, the endgame was not just a recovery, but a prosecution. Who would be on trial? A stranger? Or someone we have already seen on our screens? Today, the woods around that home in Nova Scotia are quiet. The snow of winter has melted, revealing the same ground that was searched nearly a year ago. The faces of Lily and Jack still smile from posters, their colors fading. The police investigation continues unseen. The parents live in a silence of their own. The volunteer group plans another big search for the spring. But online, the investigation is alive with fierce, unyielding questions. First, the story. Why has the wander-off idea remained the only public story for so long, without a single result to support it? Who benefits from everyone believing in a simple accident? Second, the land. The trails on the map are real. They exist. Why were they not searched? Was it a mistake, or a direction? Third, the dogs. What were the quiet cadaver dogs really looking for? What does their use tell us about what the searchers truly believe happened? Fourth, the family. Is their calm strength a sign of innocence, or a mask? Can we ever know from the outside? And fifth, the shadow. When Damien turns on his body camera, who does he imagine watching that footage one day in a silent courtroom? What has he seen that he is not saying? We are left, my friends, at a crossroads of understanding. Two paths lie before us, and both are dark. One path leads to a place of terrible, random chance. It leads to two small children who wandered too far, who became lost in a vast and ancient forest. It is a tragedy of place and time, a heartbreaking accident that leaves us with only sorrow. The other path leads to a darker human truth. It leads to a secret, to a story woven from lies, and to a search that was sent in the wrong direction from the very first moment. It suggests that the greatest danger was not outside in the woods, but inside the walls of a home. The truth about Lily and Jack Sullivan is out there. It is in the quiet of those untouched trails. It is in the memory of a scent that has long since blown away on the wind. It is in the unblinking red light of a body camera. And it is in the hearts of those who know what really happened on the 2nd of May. This story is not over. It is waiting. It is waiting for a break in the silence, for a clue to be uncovered, for a conscience to speak. And so, my friends, I turn to you now. What do you feel when you look at this mystery? Where does your instinct lead you? The conversation below is not just comments on a video. It is part of the search for light. Share your thoughts. Discuss with respect, but discuss with honesty. If you want to follow this journey with me, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Because in a case like this, the next piece of the puzzle could appear at any moment. A new search. A forgotten witness. A piece of evidence that changes everything. We will be here, watching, wondering, and seeking the truth. For Lily and for Jack. Because the most haunting question of all remains, and it whispers in the silence. If the person who knows the truth is waiting for the world to stop looking, what does that tell us about where the truth really lies? Thank you for your time, and for your compassion. This is Joseph, signing off for now. I will see you on the next step of the path. Take care, and keep the light of truth in your hearts. Good night.